Hey guys, it's us with the Custom Offsets. Nick's got a great video coming up for you here, but before we do that, we wanted to let you guys know about our latest give back effort. As you guys know, we're big supporters of the military and the veterans of this great nation, which is why we've teamed up with the 9line Foundation and also 9line Apparel. So we're doing another giveaway and we're making a donation to the 9line Foundation, super cool charity, helping critically wounded veterans get back into everyday life. To help us make this donation, you just gotta pick up a t-shirt, which looks just like this one. Thank you for the toss. Here's the front. Here's the back. Comes in a bunch of different colorways: gray, blue, black. That's a whole mouthful, by the way. There's a hoodie, there's a long sleeve, so it's really awesome. Plus, you get entered to win a free set of Anthem wheels and Mickey Thompson tires. To do so, customoffsets.com/giveaway. Pick up a t-shirt, help us make a donation. Peace.
Are you feeling low on power? Large wheels and tires have you feeling sluggish? That 6-inch compensation lift making you feel down? Well, do I have the solution for you? What's up guys? I'm Nick with Custom Offsets, and today's video is all about getting your trucks back up to speed. If you already haven't heard, Custom Offsets is not only wheel and tire suspension company, we are officially your performance parts as well. Trucks from the factory are designed to perform well with factory options, like tire sizes or drive shaft angles. So once we start putting lifts, larger tires, and heavier bumpers, your truck is gonna start feeling like that 90s Cavalier you learned to drive in. You know how it goes, 0 to 60, eventually. Lifts will cause your truck to be less aerodynamic, plus you are changing the suspension geometry. The heavier wheels and tires and bumpers are making your engine work harder because you are increasing your vehicle's weight, rotating mass. The added weight and suspension geometry will have your engine and transmission working more than you did washing dirty dishes at your first job. Let's start with lifts. Once you start putting a 4-inch or greater lift on, you're ultimately increasing your driveline angles, making power loss ratio through the drivetrain greater. Let me explain. The drivetrain consists of clutch, torque, converter, gearbox, manual or automatic, differential, drive shafts. When you increase the angle of the driveline, you're creating more resistance through the components, ultimately slowing the truck down. Now there are two options to help you overcome these issues. One is on the initial purchase of your lift, take a look at the rear blocks that come in your kit. Generally, higher end lifts will have not just a block, but more of a wedge per se, slightly decreasing your driveline angles. Fronts will come with axle drops for the front independent front suspension guys. And for us solid axle guys, we have adjustable control arms to reposition everything. Some of the less expensive lifts on the market will not come with these options, causing stress, power loss on your drivetrain. This leads us to option 2, aftermarket drive shafts. Say you don't want to spend the extra money on the fancier lift. Changing out your drive shafts to a double cardan U-joint will help on limiting that stress through the driveline. So as an example, if your front drive shaft angle is at 40 degrees, instead of having one U-joint at 40 degrees, you have 2 U-joints in a row, splitting that up into 2 20-degree U-joints, causing less stress and less power loss. However, some lifts will actually come with this option if they don't have a T-case drop or axle drop bracket. So make sure to double check your suspension lift kits. Cheaper is not always better. So for a visual reference for you guys, this is a double cardan joint. So if you look at this end, this is gonna be a single U-joint. So per se, if this truck has a driveline angle of, we'll say 40 degrees that we were talking about, this U-joint is gonna be at a constant 40 degrees all the time. So this is the double cardan U-joint. So you have U-joint here, U-joint here. So instead of one at 40 degrees, you're gonna have 2 splitting that 40 degrees up, creating less driveline stress. Let's change gears to, well, changing gears. Now, this will not be for everyone, simply because it's not an easy task. Save this one for the professionals. When a truck is at a loss of power, you may want to explore regearing options. If you are unfamiliar, regearing is the changing of the ring and pinion in your axles. You're changing the ratio to a lower gear set to keep your truck in a better power band. So to show you what I mean, this is gonna be a ring and pinion. This ring gear is located in the pumpkin on the rear of the vehicle or the front half of the vehicle. The ring gear is going to attach to a carrier in the middle, and then you're going to have your axle shafts, if you can imagine that. You're going to have your axle shafts out the side with the carrier in the middle. This is your pinion, which is going to rotate this gear. The pinion is going to be attached to the drive shaft, to the transmission, to the engine, obviously. So as your drive shaft rotates, you're going to rotate this pinion, turning your axles. The number of teeth on the pinion and the number of teeth on the ring gear are actually what gives you your pinion ratio. Now, every manufacturer and vehicle is going to change vehicle to vehicle. but I'll use a Jeep as an example just because I'm familiar with them. Factory, my Jeep had a 3:21 ratio, and at 70 miles an hour, that put me at an RPM range about 1700, which is not a good power band for a V6 on 37s. Being a 6-speed manual, my 6th gear wasn't even usable and 5th gear was very weak. So doing my 1-ton axle swap, I knew I was gonna need different gear ratios. Did my own personal calculations, and with what RPM power range I wanted to be in, ended up choosing a lower gear set of 513s, putting me at 28 RPMs at 70 miles per hour, putting me back into the good power band. For the most part, you EcoBoost and V8 guys are only going to be going down 1 gear set or possibly even 2. So let me explain a little bit of the math that's going to be involved to calculate your new gear ratio. You're going to take your new tire size times your old ratio, and it's divided by your old tire size. So my new tire size was a 37-inch tire. And we're going to times that by our old gear ratio, which my old gear ratio was 3.21, I believe. And we're gonna divide that by my old tire size, or a factory tire size, which is 29. We pull the calculator up here. So we're gonna take 37 times my gear ratio, which is 321. Then I'm going to divide that by the old tire size of 29 inches. That equals 4.095. So 4.095 is not actually a gear ratio in the Jeep world anyway. Again, this ratio, this math is going to be just for Jeeps when I'm talking about the actual specific ratios. So I know the Jeeps had a 410 gear ratio. So we're going to round this up to a 410 gear ratio. This is the new ratio that we need to be able to support the 37-inch tires. There are a couple other options that you can go with. So to keep the Jeep driving, or your truck driving in a factory manner, you're gonna wanna stick with this 410 ratio. You can, however, round up. So if I round up, the next gear ratio from 410 is 456. This is gonna keep me in a little bit of a higher power band. Granted, you are gonna lose a little bit of your miles per gallon, but you are gonna be in a better power range. For my Jeep, I have a 1-ton axle swap, heavy bumpers, it's an off-road crawling rig, so I wanted the most power without it being overly too much. So I ended up jumping up to a 513 gear ratio. Now every vehicle is going to be a little bit different. It's a V6 and I needed as much power as I can with how heavy my rig is. So this was my new gear ratio, which works out perfectly for me. Now let's talk about some easier solutions for the do-it-yourselfer. You have 3 basic options when it comes to getting some of that lost power back. You can do exhaust work to make your engine more free-flowing, to open up those back pressure restrictions. You can do intake work to allow more cold air into your engine. Colder air is denser with oxygen, allowing your engine's burn to be at a maximum burn efficiency, not only gaining you power, but slightly increasing your miles per gallon as well. And if you have one or both of these modifications, I definitely recommend having some tune work done. They will change the engine's tuning parameters to account for that added engine intake and exhaust flow. Plus, a tuner is going to allow you to calibrate for new gear ratios, that larger tire size that's making your speedo read incorrectly. Now remember, if you are looking for performance parts, we'll throw some links down below. That's all I have left for you guys today. Please hit that like and subscribe button down below. Let us know in the comments what you guys have personally done to get your trucks back up to speed.